Our winemaking process is actually extremely simple. I've tried really hard to get back to the principles of the way that wines were made about 100 years ago or even hundreds of years ago in Europe. In other words, very little additions. I do use a little bit of sulfur, but I try really hard to pick when the natural acidity is good so I don't have to add grape acid back, so that the grapes are at the perfect balance point, or within the range of balance points that I like to work with, so I don't have to do further manipulations in the cellar. Starting around 2000, we stopped all synthetic chemical use, just using sulfur and hand working the weeds under the vines and things. And then around 2003, we got interested in biodynamics. A lot of the interest in biodynamics is based on the idea that a grapevine is not supposed to be grown in a vineyard. It's supposed to be in nature in the forest, climbing trees, so that it can get to the top of the trees and the birds can spread the seeds. And then they grow based on ambient rainfall and the mulching of the trees and things. Now in a vineyard, that's never going to happen, but we can get a little bit closer to that by maintaining the fertility of the soil floor here, using compost that emulates the mulching of the tree leaves and things in the vineyard instead of bringing in synthetic chemicals. We do have to water here, but we do it on a real minimal level.
How has the wine itself changed since you've become biodynamic? I mean, is there a noticeable difference?
It is hard to put your finger on it absolutely, but it's along the lines of old vines giving more complex wines. Wines that are grown with minimal inputs give an extra level of complexity and nuance. It's not that it has more color or more flavor, it's that I feel like the definition of flavors is getting deeper. So after studying in California, the experience in France was very influential on my whole philosophical angle. The idea of making wine with very little products added to it, making wine closer to the way it was made 100 or 200 or 500 years ago, made a lot of sense to me, and it was kind of taught to us in California school that you need to make very textbook wines. In other words, if the pH is not at some level, you have to add some acid to bring it to certain levels, and using a lot of charts and formulas and things. Whereas what I saw in France is so much more of sort of a farmer's intuition, if you will, where you just have experience, you do it year after year, and you just see the way things evolve, and you have quite an intuition. And you know, it is great to have the scientific training, but I think the best thing you can do with the scientific training is park it in the back of your brain and just pull it out when you need it. You know, it's nice to have a toolbox, but it's a whole lot better to not have to use it.